Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us on Gaona Live today. My name is Gaona, as you may know, the host of Gaona Live. And March is Endometriosis Awareness Month, as maybe a couple of you may know, or just in case you don't know, well, now you know. So I've just decided to invite my girl here to come join me as we sort of highlight a few of the frequently asked questions and, engage you a bit, answer them and shed a bit more light around stuff that you may need, a bit of clarification on. And as you know, I've got endometriosis. I'm an Endo Warrior. I'm an endo activist and advocate. Endo has actually affected my reproductive organs, and I've spoken about the fact that I've had to deal with infertility as a result of that. But, anyways, let me just introduce my girl here, Tlamelo, who is an Endo Warrior herself. She has come out publicly with her story. I remember, it literally went viral. When was it? Was it 2015? I know we both...
2016.
2016, yeah. I remember both you and I were interviewed by Fifi Lowen, and you came out and just shared your story, dealing with endometriosis as well as infertility. But anyways, let me allow you to do a brief introduction of yourself as well as your encounter with endo. From what I understand, I only got diagnosed in 2012. I don't know how long I'd been living with endometriosis for, possibly since I started my period, but she got diagnosed in 2007. So, so anyways, thank you for joining me, girl.
Thank you very much, Gaona. There's nothing like that. I do believe you're as experienced as I am, because you learn a lot when you have endometriosis.
Oh my goodness, yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Tlamelo, and I consider myself to be an Endo Warrior. I was diagnosed with endometriosis in 2007, but like she said, this was after a long struggle of being moved from pillar to post, one doctor to the other, and no one could really explain what was wrong with me. I was struggling with pain all the time. Actually, some doctors started telling my mom that I was making it all up.
Exactly,
I don't know if you experienced the same
I absolutely
thing.
did. I remember my pain threshold is very low. It's almost like you're an attention seeker.
Exactly.
People get period pains, but
yeah, I went through that as well. But eventually, I went to see Dr. Eaton. I do believe you are familiar with Dr. Eaton, and he's the one who said, I think we need to do a laparoscopic surgery, because you can only diagnose endometriosis through laparoscopy. So they put an incision on my belly button, and then after that, he actually told me the bad news, but I was happy that finally I had a diagnosis. He told me you have stage 4 endometriosis, and then he explained to me what endometriosis is, and actually said no one in Botswana can actually operate on you. I have to send you to South Africa, because if anyone here can tell you that they can do this surgery, they'll be lying to you.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So when did you have your first surgery?
I had it, it's taking that decision to do the surgery is not an easy thing. You think of all the bad things, like, am I going to die or what? So I ended up doing it in 2009. That was the first major surgery that I had in South Africa, Johannesburg, with Dr. Gulab. I don't know if you've worked with
I've
Dr.
heard,
Gulab.
No, I haven't worked with him, but I've heard of him.
Yes, that's the one who did my first surgery. I did it in 2009, and then in 2010 I had to go back because it was back, and it was really, really bad. I mean, I was actually quite shocked, because when I did it in 2009, I thought finally I'm gonna be relieved, and just a few weeks down the line the pain started again, and I was like, what is happening? And only to hear that it had come back.
I had a very similar experience. I had my first surgery in 2012, and I had to go back the next year because it had grown back, and it was even more aggressive than it was before. I remember I was a bit paranoid. Did this guy even do anything? Because now my first surgery I did here, so my worry was, okay, are you sure he didn't just open me up and close me up again? But I guess you had a similar experience, so it really does happen, huh?
And because you're not expecting it, it really takes a toll on you. You become so emotional and so stressed and depressed, because you're thinking, I'm going to get better, and then this happens. So for me, it was really, really, it took me by surprise, let me just say.
So when did you come across even the reality that this could lead to infertility? Were you conscious of it from the moment you were diagnosed? Were you already at that point trying to conceive? Can you just quickly get us into that?
No, I wasn't really trying to conceive, because I actually got married in 2006 and I was diagnosed in 2007. But my husband was aware that I had something that was bothering me. We both didn't really know what it was at the time. I think Dr. Eaton explained that there is that possibility of infertility, but it doesn't really sink in until it happens. I just took it for granted. I'm going to have as many babies as I want. And after the first surgery, I think that's when it really hit me. No, after the second one, because the doctor said you should try, and then if you are not pregnant in 6 months, then we have to think of something else. And we continue to try. I think I didn't even go back to the doctor after that 6 months. I just felt, no, it will happen. And then we continued trying, I think, for several years afterwards, and it just never happened. It never happened. But to think of doing something as drastic as IVF as one of the alternatives, it's not easy because it's expensive.
Absolutely.
And also you hear a whole lot of stories about IVF and the side effects of the medication, so you cannot decide today I'm gonna do IVF. So imagine from that time, I think only after maybe 5 years or so, that's when I started considering IVF.
Whoa. And what kind of toll would you say the dealing with infertility had on you, personally? Because I can imagine, were you always hopeful? Did you always have faith that you would have a baby? By the way, as we speak, she's got a 7-month-old bundle of joy. This is a success story and a half. I'm excited even as I'm talking to her, because I myself am inspired. I've got hope. So, did you ever at any point lose hope? Did you always believe that this thing's going to happen? It may be tough right now, but eventually it's going to happen for me.
I think I always believed it was going to happen. And I think I even believed more when I started doing IVF, because I thought IVF was a definite thing. And then I did it the first time. It didn't work out. It took me, again, by surprise to say, but what happened? Because I went through the whole cycle of IVF to a point of doing the embryo transfer. Whoa. And then when that didn't hold, I was like, but where did it go? You just, you get shocked. But in any case, I still didn't give up hope. I felt like if I continue to do something about it, eventually it will happen. And I think it's that thought of, right now I'm doing my second cycle, third cycle. It keeps the hope alive.
Yeah.
But if you stop, then there's nothing that you are holding on to.
Absolutely.
So I always believed. I don't know if that helped, but yeah.
That is lovely. So I'm very curious about finding out you were pregnant. So how long did you try to conceive for?
Okay, trying to conceive, are you talking about before
IVF and after, like everything? How long of a struggle was it?
Let me just say, I tried maybe from 2008. And I actually when people used to ask me, when are you going to have a baby? You get tired of that question. I used to tell them, no, I'm not ready. I don't want babies. But it was never that. I just wanted to just dismiss the thought. But I think I tried for over 8 years, I would say. But I did IVF for 4 years. I think all the 4 cycles that I've done went over a period of 4 years. So it's like every year
I was
doing a cycle of IVF, and in between doing surgeries to try and fix endometriosis or whatever the problem was at the time.
How many surgeries have you had in total?
6. Yes.
And finding out your
Actually, I've had 7, but I don't count the 7th one because
that was the miracle. Yes. So tell us about that miracle baby. Finding out that finally it had taken and you were pregnant. Oh my goodness.
Let me tell you. You asked me earlier on how did you feel when you found out you were pregnant. I think when you do the IVF cycle, what happens is after 14 days of embryo transfer, you're supposed to do a blood pregnancy test. But what I would normally do is a day before, just do a home pregnancy test, because I don't want that shock of
course. Yeah.
So the last cycle, which was the 4th one, what happened is a day before I went and bought the home pregnancy kit, and then I did it in the morning. when I saw those 2 lines, Gaona, you have no idea. I was actually trembling and I started crying.
Aww.
And then I called out to my husband to say, can you look at this? So he sees me crying and he's thinking it didn't work
negative,
out. Yes, and he's saying, it's okay, my baby, don't worry. We'll keep trying. We'll think of something else, because I was also considering adoption. He said, no, don't worry, we'll think of something else. I said, no, it's positive. Look at it. Look at the 2. It didn't mean anything to him.
Yeah.
But I was over the moon. And then you have no idea. After that comes the worry.
I was gonna ask you about that. What if I miscarry? What if, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I was like that the whole 9 months. I was thinking about what if something goes wrong? Is it gonna hold? I kept rushing to the doctors. I don't know how many times. I'll go back to either Dr. Eaton or Dr. Music, because they work together, and say, there's a little blood that I'm seeing. Am I losing it?
Yeah.
But it went on well with no issues at all. I was actually surprised. I only had the normal pregnancy symptoms.
Wow.
Nothing to do with endometriosis. No pain whatsoever.
Yeah.
So it was really amazing for me.
Wow.
And when I finally had that baby, the day I delivered that baby, I think that it was, for me, the most magical moment of my life.
Wow.
Just seeing him.
I can imagine.
Even now, I can't believe he's here.
Did you break down when you saw him?
It was tears of joy.
Of course,
I cried and I was like, both me and my husband were in the operating room and the theater. We kept on saying, wow, because we just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Your story is such a beautiful story of, like, you've got a great testimony. You know what I mean? I know one of the and it's so disheartening that I've come out and I've shared my story, dealing with endometriosis and as a result, infertility. And I think people have interpreted it in such a gloomy manner, like it's, you are barren, you are never going to, so much that I've even seen headlines and stories and tabloids about how I've given up hope. Little do they know that there is no option of giving up. You know what I mean? I keep saying, as long as I've still got this uterus, I shall not give up hope. So it's stories like you're seeing that your endo was as aggressive as mine, like it was. So if it can happen for you, it can happen for a lot of other women out there. And I'm glad that you're sharing that story, because a lot of people go through IVF and they have their success stories, but very few people actually share those stories. So they were like, hey, look at just how it miraculously happened. So thank you so much for being such an open book with your experience.